guys. So today I am going to be talking about Christmas traditions and what my family does around the holidays. Kind of what we used to do and then our new traditions that we've been doing the last couple of years. The holidays have always been a really special time. I'm pretty sure that they're a special time for anybody, but I just have some really amazing fond memories from when I was a kid, especially around this time of year. I always get really nostalgic around Christmas time, and it just makes me remember all the good times. So our holiday traditions usually started at Thanksgiving. We had My grandmother had a house in Arlington, right off of Wilson Boulevard, and we spent probably about 80% of our childhood there. Like, we were there almost every weekend. It seemed like that was the hub of our family. And so Thanksgiving, we would go up the day before, and we never had the day before Thanksgiving off. We always got out of school at like 1 or 2. So my mom would pick us up from school, and then we'd go up to my grandmother's house. And I just remember staying up late and watching my mom make her rolls, which was actually my great grandmother's recipe, who she taught my grandmother how to make it, and then my grandmother taught my mom how to make it. So one of these days I'm gonna learn how to make it so that I can make them for my family. But I just remember her making the rolls and the smell and cleaning out the turkey and watching her. And then we would stay up late. We usually slept in the living room at my grandmother's house, and it was like always so fun to be up late, and we'd always watch David Letterman with her and everything like that. And then waking up Thanksgiving morning, watching the Thanksgiving parade while we ate cereal and everything like that. And everybody would come over, I think around like 12 or 1. It was always my parents, and then my 2 older brothers and my older sister and myself, my grandmother, my aunt, and her husband, before he passed away. He passed away in 2000, so it was a while ago, but he would be there, and their 2 kids, Heather and Bobby, who are our cousins, and then my Uncle Mike and Aunt Donna. And you saw Uncle Mike in my Redskins vlog. He would come with his wife and their 2 daughters, Mandy and Melissa, my other 2 cousins, and we just have like a big family gathering. Adults would sit in the dining room, and there wasn't enough room for the kids, so we had our kids' tables in the living room. We had like card tables and stuff set up, and it was always exciting because that was the only time during the whole day that we were able to have control of the TV, because they were always watching football and stuff like that. And of course, now we're older, that's what we all watch. We all watch football. And we would have dinner around like 2. I think it was like around 2 or 3. We'd have dinner, and we'd have like the fancy silverware because we didn't go to mass that night, unlike Christmas Eve, which I'll get to in a second. So we had like the fancy blue and white china that has like those, I can't remember what they're called, but they're I think my aunt has them. I think my Aunt Donna has them. I used to love them when I was a kid. And so we'd have the fancy silverware. And then after dinner, we would have desserts and stuff. And we used to do a secret Santa drawing with us kids. It would be my sister and I, Heather and Bobby, and then Mandy and Melissa. You'd take a little piece of paper. Usually it was like a Post-it note. Write your name and 3 things you wanted for Christmas on it. And then you fold it up, and we put it in the basket, and we draw names. So you couldn't draw yourself, obviously, and you couldn't draw a sibling. So you had to draw one of the cousins. So we would do that, and then everybody would go on their merry way. We usually, Shannon and I, and then Heather and Bobby usually stayed Thanksgiving night, because the next day on Friday was when my mom would make turkey soup. And, oh no, I think she made it on Saturday, but we usually stayed the whole weekend, the whole Thanksgiving weekend. Friday was usually when we would set up the Christmas tree, and we used to have big slumber parties in the back room on the downstairs, called Granny's room is what we called it. It was the blue room downstairs, and we'd have all our sleeping bags all laid out. And when we were really, really little, our bedtime story was Goldilocks and 3 Bears. My aunt would always say it out loud to us, and we'd be the 3 bears, and then Heather was always Goldilocks because she was blonde. So we used to do that. And we'd stay the whole weekend. Mom would make turkey soup. We'd we decorate for Christmas, my grandmother's house for Christmas, and then coming back for Christmas Eve, we'd spend at Nana's. Also, we again would go up the day before. Usually, I feel like we went up the day before Christmas Eve. Yeah, I think so. We'd go up, and again, same thing. My mom would clean out the turkey, and she'd make the rolls, and we'd stay up and watch David Letterman. And then the next morning, we would just kind of, same thing, except no Macy's Day Parade. It was always exactly the same thing. We'd watch like Miracle on 34th Street, I think is usually what was on TV. So we would watch that, and everybody would come over. We'd have dinner again at 2. And it was a running joke in our family because we went to Christmas Eve Mass, and we would go to St. Charles in Arlington. St. Charles Church. That was where my grandmother belonged to. And we would go to Christmas Eve and Easter Mass and everything right out there. And Christmas Eve Mass, like if you didn't get there at like 4, you were sitting in the way back, or you were standing room only. So Nana would always be like, oh, we need to hurry up or we're going to be late. We're going to be late. We're not going to get a seat or anything like that. So it was always the running joke. Even now we still joke about it. We'd start joking about it on Thanksgiving, like, oh, we need to hurry up. We're not going to have a seat for Christmas Eve. Just a running joke in our family. And, so we'd have Christmas Eve dinner, and we used to use the special plates that we used at Thanksgiving, and then they finally convinced Nana to switch to the Chinette paper plates, the fancy ones, just because when we were really, really little, everybody would go to Mass, and so they'd have to like clean up before we'd go to Mass, and it would just be like too much with the plates and everything like that. It was just so much easier with the paper plates. And then of course, as we got older, people didn't go to Mass anymore, so they would always be there to clean up. But I just remember I did not like going to church at all. I remember I hated going to church, but I always loved Christmas Eve Mass. That was the only time I liked going to church. It was always just special. It was always such a special night. And even now, I don't go to church. I'm completely non-practicing. That's a different video. But I still miss going to Christmas Eve Mass at St. Charles. Although they changed it a lot. From when we were really little, I remember we would always go in through the chapel door because they had the nativity scene set up. And when I was really little, it was super elaborate. Like, it had like plants, and it was like a whole section of the chapel was just, I mean, it was huge. And they had plants, they had waterfalls, they had all these big statues, and it was always so pretty. And it was always like my favorite thing of Christmas Eve Mass was to go into chapel and see that. And then as I got older, it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and it got really depressing. And then I remember Nana, the last Christmas we had in that house was my senior year of high school. So this is 2005 Christmas, because then she moved to Woodbridge because she was on dialysis, and it was just easier to have her closer to my mom and my aunt in Woodbridge. So they sold the house. But our last Christmas there in December of 2005, that was our last Christmas Eve Mass at St. Charles, and it was the chapel, the nativity scene was literally just like a table with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and that was it. That was it. Like, it was so sad to see it go. And they changed the Mass a lot. Like, I remember when we were little, all the kids would get these special things. Like, the boys would get, it was so cute. I remember they were like checkered dish towels they would wear on their heads, and they were shepherds. And then the girls would get little angel, like, star garland, you know, like the garland that they saw at, like, Craft Store. I don't know if they even make that stuff anymore, but it was like the small star garland. They'd have like little halos made out, and there was I remember they would turn all the lights off in the church, and all the little kids would go up and sit at the base of the altar on the steps and everything, and they would turn all the lights off, so there's just like candles, and it was always so cool. And they would tell the story of the nativity and everything like that. So Christmas Eve Mass was always really special. Another favorite thing of mine for Christmas Eve Mass was they had this thing where they would ring bells during certain parts of the Mass. I can't remember what parts, but basically the choir lady that would sing, she would start ringing bells, and everybody would start ringing bells. And so my grandmother used to have in her dresser, in her bedroom, she used to have a bag of bells that we would always run up and grab before leaving to mass. And I remember there was one particular thing of bells on a pink ribbon, and us girls would always fight over it. We'd always want it. We'd always try and grab it first. And I actually have it. I kept it when she was moving out of the house. I found the bag of bells and I snatched it. So the bag at the bells, the pink bells, and it actually hangs up right there on my Andy Warhol picture. So I keep them above my bed, and it's just one of my favorite things, my favorite memories. And you would just, like, you would hold the bells and they'd start ringing, and you just, I cannot remember what parts we would ring the bells, but I just special memories of it. So then we would, finish with mass, and we'd go home, or home to Nana's, and we'd all change because we'd change out of our church clothes, and usually we got into like our pajamas or something, and then my uncle, while we were all changing, the grown-ups would set out like the desserts. My Aunt Donna always made a pie. She still makes it to this day, and it's a pie with bananas and cream, and then the cherry filling on top, which is sickening sweet, but it's so good. And that cherry pie, Donna's cherry pie and Christmas is like hand in hand. So we'd have that. Nana would have like all this candy set out, and then my Uncle Mike would always make his eggnog, and he still makes it to this day. He'd always make 2 batches, one for the kids and one for the adults, that had bourbon in it. And even now I still drink the virgin eggnog because I remember when I was like old enough, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drink it with the bourbon now because I'm an adult, and da 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 da. That was so disgusting. It was bleh, no. Will not drink. So I'm like, oh no, give me the plain. But it's really good, and I know he puts vanilla ice cream. It's basically like a milkshake, but he makes it so good, and it's just, I don't know, it's one of my favorite parts of Christmas Eve mass, or Christmas Eve, not mass. So then, we'd all have our eggnog, and us kids would be raring at the bit to open presents, and so we'd all sit around and we'd pass out our Secret Santa gifts, and we'd open them, and open cards and everything like that, and then load up the cars and go home. When we got home, my mom, we'd unload the car, and if we weren't already in our pajamas, we'd get in our pajamas, and we would get all snuggled up by the fire, because we actually do have a wood stove. It doesn't work anymore, which makes me sad, but they would light the fire and warm up the house, and we would, I would set out milk and cookies for Santa, and then my mom, before bed, she would always read us "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and she has this, I wish I should have grabbed it, actually, I'm gonna pause this, and I'm gonna go grab the book, because I want to show you guys this book. Hold on one second. I'm back, so let me show you this book that my mom has read to us every single year, and yes, I say every single year, because she still reads it to us on Christmas Eve now. Look how old this book is. It is falling apart. I think it has like teeth marks on it, from what, I don't know. But it's just the insides are coming out, but it just has always made me feel so happy when I see her bring this book out, and she keeps it in her dresser. She's had it, I think it's a pillow book, so it's kind of soft for kids. I feel like she got this when Jim was born, and Jim was born in 1975, so she's had this definitely since the 70s. I'm pretty sure she got this for Jim's first Christmas, so this has been around for a very, very long time, and I mean, it's got just the cutest, oh, see, it's falling apart, this thing. It's got the prettiest illustrations, and I just love my mom reading it to us. I'm getting all nostalgic. Can't wait for Christmas Eve now so she can read this. So she would read this to us, and then we'd go to sleep, and of course Christmas night is the longest night of the year. We all know that. And I actually, when I got into my teens, I used to work. Okay, so my dad's cousins own a Christmas tree farm. They grow Christmas trees and sell them. That's where we get our trees from, because we help out, or when I say we, my dad helps out with trimming and planting and everything like that. And I actually used to help out with planting, and also I used to help sell them. So from the time I was like 11 or 12 to my senior year of high school was the last year I did it. From Thanksgiving weekend all the way to the last weekend before Christmas, I was out selling Christmas trees. And it was like $50 a weekend, you know, which to 12, 13, 14-year-old is a lot of money. That would give me money for Christmas and buy people stuff. And so from like pretty much my whole teenage years, every Christmas I was sick because I was always out in the elements. It would always be like raining or snowing or something, so I was always sick for Christmas. So I would actually take NyQuil, and then it would help me fall asleep. So then I got the bright idea when I was like maybe like 12 or 13, even if I didn't happen to be sick, to take NyQuil when we left my grandmother's house. That way I'd be ready for bed. So I would sleep through the night because I could never sleep for Christmas. And then we'd always wake up extremely early. Talking about like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. My sister and I would wake up, and we'd always have to wait for everybody. My parents would always say not before 8 o'clock. We couldn't wake them up. And I remember us like sneaking down the hallway and like peeking. And we have our stockings, and we always set our stockings up in front of our TV because we have a wood stove, but we never hung them there. So my mom would just lay them in front of the TV. So we'd always like peek out, because that was always the first thing you can see, because it's a straight shot down our hallway to see to where the TV is in the living room. And we'd always like peek out and we'd see stuff. I'm like, oh my God, the stockings are full, you know? And we'd wake everybody up and open presents and everything like that. Then we'd have Christmas Eve dinner, or Christmas night dinner. So it's pretty much still the same this year, although you know, it changes. I got a little sad. I guess Christmas, when was my senior year of high school, that was our last Thanksgiving, last Christmas in my grandmother's house, and last Easter. So it was a little sad, and it was a little bittersweet, because so many memories there, and I loved that house, and we sold it, and I'm really sad. And the person that has it now completely just, it's horrible what they did to that house. It's like enormous, and it's not pretty, and I miss that house. I wish I could have bought it. But our new traditions now, obviously we have Thanksgiving at my uncle's house, because you guys saw that my Thanksgiving vlog. We go there for Thanksgiving, and then for Christmas Eve we go to my aunt's house in Woodbridge. We don't have anything down here because we just don't have the room for as many people. We just don't have the space. So, and we just live the farthest away. So, we don't do the Secret Santa draw anymore. We haven't done that since the last Christmas we were in the house. And now, because we just have so many more people, and to involve everybody, we do what's called a white elephant, where everybody brings a gift, a wrapped gift, no name on it whatsoever, and it could be anything, whatever you want to get, and you all put it in a big pile and draw numbers, and you take turns drawing from the pile, like picking a present from the pile, or you can steal somebody else's gift. And it's always a lot of fun. People always get really good gifts, and then there's always some joke gifts. My sister and I are pretty notorious for getting joke gifts, although this year I got a pretty simple gift. I'm not going to say what it is. And I actually have to get the other half of it on Christmas Eve. But, yeah, so we do joke gifts. Like one year Shannon got furry handcuffs and a couple other things. And I think it was last year I got, from Spencer's, I got a bumper sticker that says, "I'm only speeding because I have to poop." I got a beer koozie with Alan from The Hangover on it. It says "One Man Wolf Pack," and a rainbow candy cane flavored penis lollipop. It was pretty funny. And then I decided, I'm gonna get a serious, like a pretty, you know, it's a little bit of a joke gift. And I was like, I'm gonna throw a little something in it. So I got a small thing of Captain Morgan with it too. I think my cousin Bobby ended up with it, so he got the penis lollipop. It was pretty funny. And I remember one year I bought a Justin Bieber doll, but it backfired on me because my cousin Melissa picked it, and she liked Justin Bieber, so I was like, I was hoping my brothers would end up with it. One of my brothers or Bobby would end up with it, but they didn't. So anyway, so we do the white elephant, and it's pretty much the same. We head home from Christmas Eve, dinner and everything like that. They go to Mass. I don't go to church anymore, not even Christmas Eve Mass. And then we go home. You know, we do the white elephant thing and eggnog still. Do eggnog. And then we go home. Same thing, unload the cars. Get all snuggled up, ready for bed. I still put out cookies and milk for Santa, aka my dad, because my dad eats them. And then we put all the presents and stuff under the tree and go to sleep. And since we've gotten older, you know, my brothers and their wives live at their houses, and David and Jenny live in Woodbridge, and my brother Jim and his wife Jack live in Lake Caroline. So we have to wait. We're always waiting on them, and you know, like, we're raring to go. I think last year we didn't open presents until like 11 or 12. It was kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so then we open presents, and we have Christmas night dinner, and it's just, I don't know, one of the special times of the year. And even though I am almost 26 years old, I still get an advent calendar. And this one, my mom still buys them for us every year. She's always like, "Do you want an advent calendar?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, oh ma, yeah." I always fall behind on it. I think I'm not that behind though. I think I stopped at the 17th, so I have to eat 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So I have to eat 1, 2, or I have to eat 5. So. This chocolate's a lot better though. I think the one that she got last year was not very good at all. This one's from Target. I wanted to get the benefit one, but it was like $68. I was like, maybe next year. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What are your family traditions? What things do you guys do, whether it's for Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever you guys celebrate? What are your holiday traditions? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it wasn't too boring for you, but I just love talking about my traditions, and I have whole ideas of traditions I want to do for when I have my own family. For example, when I have kids, what I want to do, you know how my mom read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas for us, what I want to do is I want to read The Polar Express, because I absolutely adore The Polar Express. It's one of my favorite books ever. I love the movie, and I don't know, I get chills every time I watch it or read the book. And one of the things I want to do is when I have kids and I read that to them, I want to get a big bell, like a silver bell with the year inscribed on it, and hide it somewhere like in the tree or something. So it's, you know, Santa's bell, and they have to find it. So it's just a little something I'm planning for whenever I have kids, if I have kids. But so yeah, so I'm already planning my traditions that I want to start with my kids and my family whenever I have one. So anyway, so don't forget to thumbs this video up if you enjoyed it. Also, if you're not already, go ahead and click subscribe, because every time somebody subscribes, I get the warm and fuzzies, and it can be your Christmas gift to me. Also, don't forget to check me out on Facebook, facebook.com/JennyBeesBeautyBuzz, and to check out my blog, JennyBeesBeautyBuzz.blogspot.com. Bye guys, and happy holidays.